Good morning, boys and girls. You know what? We're gonna leave that in. Why not? So I am in 29 Palms, just left Joshua Tree this morning. I have 3 hours on the GPS to go. I was gonna shower. Long story short, my stomach's been quite upset the past week and the week before I was sick, which you guys saw in my LA video, but I'm gonna be heading back to Canada now. Leaving, going back home. Well, not really like home, but hometown, I guess. Gonna stick around there, probably go to Quebec at least once during the summer, and other than that, I think I'm just gonna kind of explore Kawartha, Gravenhurst, go fishing with my dad a bunch of times. Nova wants to tell everyone that he just finished his breakfast. Good job, baby boo. Did you just eat your food? Give me paw. Give me paw. Oh, give me paw. Give me paw. Don't lick it. Okay, well, I don't know. He's a little bit kind of wonky sometimes. But anyway, we're taking a different route back home. I've done the Colorado route twice now. And this time we're going to be going through Texas. I don't really have a lot of money to stop. My dad is helping me get back. Full disclosure, I ran out of cash. So, yeah. What else is new in my life? Pretty much that's all I talk about. But I think I'm gonna do this little intro, stop this, and then get into kind of some real talk for a little bit. Yeah, because we have 3 hours of driving, and this little spurt, I did it when I went to Schoolypalooza, and there's pretty much nothing along this roadway. So here we go. See you in T-minus like literally 2 seconds. Testing. So some people know, some people don't care, some people paid attention, and some people have been kind of in the journey for the entirety of van life that I've done. If you're new here, hi, I'm Christina. I live in a van full-time with my dog and my cat. I moved into the van around September 2.5 years ago. I don't know the exact date or year because I don't really pay attention to that. I hope that you guys can hear me, but this video is just gonna basically be me talking. But yeah, there are people that are new. My watch hours are going up steadily, which is nice. I'm gonna stick with YouTube just because I feel like I'm not done with it yet. As much as I do get a little discouraged and a little bored, but that's just me. I get bored of everything super quickly and then kind of move on to something else. I am gonna stick with it and kind of see where it goes and continue on. I've been in the van for 2.5 years, built it myself with the help of my dad, my friend Matt, as well as one of his friends that helped with the flooring. Thank God he was there that day because we had no clue what we were doing. And then my dad did pay for my cabinets to get fully done. I paid for some of it, he paid for most of it. I'll be completely honest and transparent. I was leaving a situation at home that wasn't the best, but I won't talk about that because I'm quite healed from that part of my life, and when I'm not in it, I don't really care to bring it back up again. Just know that it wasn't the best situation for really anyone to grow up in my opinion. But you know what? We are who we are because of it. And as much as I wish some of me was tweaked or not, having to deal with kind of the ongoing symptoms of that specific time and place in my life, I don't mind who I am. So, yeah. Being back in the US, I am in a much better headspace now than I was 2 years ago when I left. I haven't talked about it too much, and I'm still not going to talk about it too much, but I figured it's a good ending to kind of this US journey, or at least leaving the town that kind of all of it happened in. I do love this town. I loved this town well before I met my ex. I'm gonna say a lot. That's my new fixation word. Sorry. But, so things did happen. So 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I started my van life journey. Went from Ontario to BC in Canada, stayed on Vancouver Island for, I believe, a month until it was too cold. Came down in November, went through Washington, went through Oregon, went through California, all of California, saw Yosemite. It was absolutely beautiful, and it is a place that I do want to go back to eventually to kind of enjoy it more, because I did not spend too much time there. I'm hoping that in the future, if I do get big enough on YouTube, there is a way for me to get like a temporary visa that allows me to stay a couple of years down here, just so I am able to explore some places in the summer, because I feel like Yosemite in the summer would be gorgeous compared to how cold it was. But anyway, kept coming down, decided to go to the southern BLM land of Joshua Tree. Hello, doggy. Southern BLM land of Joshua Tree, and as I was there, I ended up meeting someone on Tinder. This is not a sponsorship for them. In fact, it's a little bit of the opposite. So, ended up coming through the park up to North Joshua Tree, and I went climbing, loved it, and the day that I purchased everything for climbing, my helmet, my shoes, you know, just kind of normal stuff, harness, I ended up meeting my ex. So that was kind of love at first sight type of thing. Like, I saw him and immediately I was like, oh my God. And me being me, I kind of get this fixation on people and even places, even things, to where I kind of have to see it through before I'm done with it. And so I ended up finding out his name from like a local person that I went climbing with, and searched him up on Facebook and did the creepy thing of saying, hey, I think you're pretty cute, want to hang out. So we ended up hanging out, and it was great. Like, great, like butterflies, fireworks, like, oh my gosh, I'm in love with this dude almost instantly. And I don't know if it was because I hadn't been with anyone for about 4 years actually prior to him, and that 4 years prior was quite a long relationship that I was in, and it wasn't a good one for both parties. It was kind of a bad place that I was in that moment, and so I wasn't emotionally mature enough to kind of be in that serious of a relationship. But anyway, that's here nor there. So ended up falling for him pretty quickly, and I remember vividly telling him, hey, I can't hang out with you anymore because I'm starting to like you a lot, and I don't know how this is going to end up, and I don't want to put myself through that. We ended up talking about it. He ended up telling me that he liked me too, and we started dating. So I was down here for 2 more months while I was dating him, and then I ended up going back to Canada. On the arrival back to Canada, which this is my first time heading back since actually second time, because I did go for wings with my dad, but that was another thing. This is my first time going back again, so I do, and I'm going to use this term lightly, I do have a little bit of PTSD from it. It wasn't fun, the situation that I was in that I'm about to tell you about. So I ended up going back to Canada. It was during COVID, so you needed like the negative COVID test. I didn't myself. I didn't know you had to do it in like a doctor's office or like a COVID center. So I basically just bought one, did it, filmed myself doing it, filmed myself waiting, and filmed myself for the negative result. And then I brought it to the border. So they stopped me, told me that it's not good enough, and this is the Canadian side, keep this in mind, pulled me over into secondary, tore everything out of my van, and I was standing there with my then dog. I didn't have Nova, and I didn't have the cat at the time. I just had my last dog, Leaf. What's wrong, baby? Why don't you go lie down? I know you don't like being up here. He's looking at me. I know you don't like sitting there, so I don't know why you're sitting there, baby. He never sits in the front, but I cleaned the van yesterday, so there's space for him, so he comes up every once in a while till he gets sick of it. Anyway, I had my last dog, Leaf. Back into the story. ADHD is present here. So, yeah, I got pulled over, they ripped apart everything, and then the Health Canada lady basically told me they can either let me across back into my own country that I'm a citizen of, Canada, with a $6,000 fine, or they're going to turn me around, aka deny me entry, and I would have to go back to the States and get a witness COVID test at their duty free, which they offered for the Canadians that have been turned around. So me going, $6,000, I don't have that at all, you know? That's not money I can throw around. That's not even money that I see often in the life that I live. So I ended up saying, okay, turn me around. So I ended up going back to the US border, and I was hysterical at this time. This was right after Canadian border, after they held me for an hour, maybe a little bit more. It was 2 years ago, I'm unsure now. Or a year ago? No, 2 years ago actually, yeah. So they held me, I turned around, I was hysterical. I went to the border of the US. She goes, what happened? You just left, because they can see, right, that I tried to enter Canada and got turned around. And I said, they denied me entry. They gave me the offer of a $6,000 fine, or to come back to your duty free and get the COVID test. So she ended up giving me a little slip, which if you've been there, you know that that means pull into secondary. So I got pulled into secondary on the US side as well. So as I went to the US secondary, Leaf, my last dog, and this was in March, beginning of March, around the same time as now, so it was cold still. It was cold up there. Snow on the ground, but like not too bad. It was in the positives, but still cold. And Leaf got put into a cage outside without me, and he was there for I think like 4 hours, 4 to 6 hours that we were in secondary. And I was crying and I was hysterical and this and that. So they went through my phone. They were actively laughing at my pictures that I had, which at the time I had a boyfriend, so I send pictures, whatever, you know, that's not anything new. So they were laughing at those. They were going through my emails, all my pictures, my messages, my texts, like everything. And yes, legally, if you cross the border, you allow them to do that, by the way. But I didn't think I was going to get pulled over, nor did I really have anything bad on my phone, aside from the fact that me and my ex did discuss the immigration process. So during this time, they questioned me. They asked me when I planned on coming back and what I planned on doing and this and that. And I basically got told it's either I marry him or I break up with him. Because they told me that they'll let me across to duty free, but next time I cross, I'm gonna have to prove ties of Canada, which is housing, job, kids, spouse, literally your whole life. And living in a van, I don't really have any of those things aside from me being honest with them and telling them my intentions, as well as just my citizenship to my country. So I ended up getting let across after like 4 to 6 hours, and once I've calmed down quite a bit, because they did find out that I had a boyfriend, right? Keep that in mind. So I ended up doing a $40 COVID test, where they didn't even swab me, by the way. They were really nice girls. I know who they are, I won't out them. But I told them, I was like, I really don't want to go through this. They're like, it's okay, we don't really swab anyone anyway. So they didn't swab me, they wrote negative, they signed it, gave me the slip, and I was back on my way to Canada. Canada let me in like that, right? Thank God, because it had been like 6-7 hours since I've been in both secondaries and been at both borders. So I went back to Canada. I ended up working for a month, saved up some money because I wanted to go back down south, because I had time left over, because Canadians are allowed 6 months out of the year, calendar year, to be down in the States, and I had 2 months left. And I was so in love with this dude that I went, you know what, before we decide this immigration thing, you know, I want to see if we're even good for each other. So I ended up trying to cross about a month and a half later down to the US, and I got stopped. I got pulled into secondary again and searched and van ripped apart and dog in a cage and blah 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 for another like 4 hours. They basically told me that I was denied entry until we did a visa. And by visa, I mean the K1 visa. After knowing someone for 2 months, they expected us to get engaged and pay all of this money and do all of these things for me to even go down and visit the US anymore. So I was heartbroken, as well as pretty much traumatized from just how they treated me at the border, because it's almost unheard of. And this is my privilege and my race speaking, but when you cross legally into a different country, you expect them to be nice to you. You don't expect them to rip through all of your belongings and leave your dog in a cage and outside. By the way, he was fine in the cage, but for 5 hours not being able to go to the washroom or see me, you know, like that's not okay. But you expect to have a little bit of humanity and a little bit of mercy brought onto you, to where if they're gonna deny you, because they knew they were gonna deny me instantly, as soon as I showed up. So for them to hold me for that long, it was pretty inhumane in my opinion. And yeah, so they ended up denying me entry and then we ended up filing for the K1 a couple months after that happened, because that's how long it took to get him a passport and blah 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 blah. I hate this story, and I'm glad this is probably going to be the last time I'm going to tell it. And I'll get to why all of this is important. Don't worry. And if I've already lost you, well, I lose you guys on the exciting videos anyway, so it's nothing new. Anyway, we started the K1 process. He paid the fees, thank God, because I was poor. I still am poor, and I'll probably always be poor. Because I like doing things my way, and it's probably not the best way, but whatever. So yeah, we started the K1, and I ended up getting a FOIA, F-O-I-A, I believe it's called. It's been a while since I've talked about this, and it's been about more than a year now since I got one. Yeah, almost 2 years since I got the FOIA. So I ended up, what a FOIA is in the US they allow you to see what's written on your passport. And so I ended up getting it, and I got it a few months later just to kind of figure out, why am I actually banned from entering the States? And they were, well, I wasn't technically banned, but they basically said, if you try again, you're gonna get banned for 5 years. So don't try again until your K1 process is done. And if anyone has done a K1 process, it takes like 2.5 years for it to go through. And there's interviews and paperwork and blah, blah, blah. So much stuff for this boyfriend that I've had for 2 months. And you guys won't even let us like see each other during this time. He could come up to Canada, but it was much easier with how my life is to go back down there. So that was kind of the problem with that. But anyway, so I got a FOIA, and from the first time when I got denied entry to Canada and offered the $6,000 finder's fee, or to go back to the US to where they stopped me, from that time, the US border wrote on my profile, basically, and I'll summarize it, do not let her across, she has a boyfriend in the States. Plain and simple. That was the gist of what they wrote. They talked about marriage, they talked about immigration. Yeah, no crap. I mean, that's normally what people do when they live in 2 separate countries and they're trying to figure out how to have a future with each other, you know? And they claim that they do all of this to stop like illegal immigration. But in my opinion, when you look at the south border and even the north border, as well as how many people arrive on planes and how many students and stuff, they're really worried about one more person who's actually in love with someone not doing things the full proper way. Because we'd still get married, we still would have done proper paperwork and gotten citizenship. The only difference is we would have been together during the process. So I got that FOIA, as well as the other one to where I tried to cross the second time, where they denied me and told me, don't try again or you'll be banned. And I remember this guy, he was short, spiky haired, you could tell he was compensated for something with his attitude and how he acted. So once again, I hope you guys can hear me because it's getting pretty windy outside, and it's pretty loud. But anyway, he wrote on my profile, on my passport, and it's still there. It'll be there, I'm pretty sure, till the day that I die. He wrote that I was moving down there and I had stuff to cook with, stuff to live with, bedding, a mattress, like everything that's in my van that I've had in my van since the beginning, because I live in here. And to my detriment, that was not allowed, living in your vehicle. So that was the second FOIA, as well as she has a boyfriend still. She's trying to get down. She claims she's coming down to see where the relationship goes, but we don't know if she's gonna go back to her country and yada yada yada, blah 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 blah. Just all kind of nonsense, right? So ended up going, okay, not gonna get let across till the K1 is done, whatever. Relationship ended up falling through because after knowing each other for 2 months and being away from each other, if the connection's not strong on his part, sorry, but it's true, you don't care anymore, right? I mean, in my opinion, I never should have started something like that, but at the same time, when I think back to about 10 minutes ago when I was telling the story, when I told him, hey, I'm starting to catch feelings, I don't think this is going to end well, so I'm just going to end it now before it goes too far, he should have just said okay. So that's kind of his downfall, was if you knew you weren't serious about things. Because if you guys know me, I don't mess around with people. I don't really have flings. I don't really, go and date a bunch of people, and I've actually sworn off dating until I moved to Italy because I don't care to continuously get my heart broken. And that's the never-ending theme, it seems, with all of my relationships, is the fact that I'm extremely monogamous, I'm extremely loyal, and extremely honest, and it seems like there's not much of that nowadays. It seems like a lot of people want these situationships and they want these flashes of passion and sex in reality, and then when things get hard, when love is actually supposed to kick in, they go, oh, it's not worth it anymore. And I'm someone, sorry, my GoPro overheated. Anyway, yeah, even though their relationship wasn't the best, I grew up with the thought and the morals of marriage is a commitment to each other, and dating for me is the kind of just before that. And I think the same morals should apply when you're dating someone. You're testing out if you want to marry them. True, that is true. But that should be kind of the end goal in sight. And I'm glad that it didn't get to the point where I did do like the full committed marriage and was in the States by the time we realized we weren't good for each other. But it doesn't hurt any less, So, anyway, relationship ended not the nicest way as well, which doesn't make any sense to me, in my opinion, because if someone wanted out of a relationship, you should cut all ties and leave. But it seems like, and not all, but a lot of men do this thing where they don't want their girlfriend anymore, and then their girlfriend goes, okay, bye, and then they go, and it's like, like, dude, you wanted out of it. What do you want? Like, I don't understand. Like the kids that want flipping your car keys, and then you give them the car keys, and then they're like, and they throw it away, or the opposite of that, or blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so yeah, kind of a toxic breakup. I'm not proud of what I did, but at the same time, I don't really regret anything that I did, because, I mean, that's who I am. I never apologize really for things that I've done, because I believe in that moment that's what I wanted to do, and I might regret some things, but that's more so where it landed me rather than regretting my actions, like, you know, in the time. I don't know how to explain it. I am who I am. I'm not gonna apologize for that. There's a lot of things I can work on. I do admit that, but at the same time, I believe that humans don't change, at least drastically, and we should all just kind of accept who each other are, or is, or whatever. And if you don't like each other, well then you don't really, world's a big place. You don't really have to be butt with them. Like, just, you know, move on. But anyway, relationship ended and I was still banned from the States. So that was around March last year? Yeah. No. May. No, April. March. He broke up with me like a week before my birthday, which typical narcissist breakup, by the way. If anyone breaks up with you like before Christmas, before your birthday, like things like that, they're a narcissist. They are. They're trying to kind of change your feelings in a given moment and focus on them again. Because I remember even saying, like, my birthday, like, seriously, like, that's when you decide, like, okay, you're finally done. And he was like, oh, why do you have to put it that way? Blah, blah, blah. I just can't take it anymore. I'm like, dude, we were done months ago. Why didn't you just tell me? You know, like, I work for things, especially when you have the government involved. I'm gonna continue working for things. But if you were done months ago and stuff, why didn't we end it there? Why a week before my birthday? Why not a week after my birthday? Let me have my good birthday and then do it. You know, like, it just, there's something there, some correlation. But, oh yeah, people are passing me. I drive slow. Oh, I'm driving the speed limit actually, so whatever. But anyway, broke up a week before my birthday. I ended up going back to Ontario, and I started YouTube basically right when we broke up, because I was finally able to do things I wanted to do again, and be my own person again, and not have my confidence literally stepped on all the time. But anyway, in the summer, me and my dad ended up going to get wings, and we got pulled into secondary, and they ended up letting us across because I showed them all of the breakup material, and the K1 had been canceled, and kind of showing them like, hey, I don't want to immigrate. I mean, I do, but if I were to do it, I would do it the legal way. And I straight up told them, I said, if I did want to live down there, why wouldn't I have just crossed the Mexican border by now? In the 2 years that I've been denied entry, wouldn't that have been easier for me to go down south and walk across with everyone else? And I straight up said, like, I'm not a stupid person. And they went, okay, and they let us across for wings, and we were back within the hour, went home, ate wings, everything was fine and dandy. And then I crossed again in November, and here we are in March 2nd it is today, which you guys will be seeing this by the time, like, when I'm back in Canada, and in a couple of weeks you'll see this, maybe a month or so. But I'm doing this video because, and explaining things actually more in detail than I have in previous videos, and I apologize if it offends anyone, as well as my ex, but you know what? It's what we went through, and and it's in the past now. And I can finally say that happily, because when you're living your life after a breakup, even a good one, not necessarily just a toxic one, there's always those places that you go by, your favorite restaurant, your favorite song, your favorite place to go, like just certain things that you don't enjoy anymore because they correlate to your relationship with that person. And everyone knows what I'm talking about. I mean, even if you haven't been in a relationship before, you've probably had friendships that have been ruined. Relationships that are not in the kind of love matter, just normal relationships, friendships, etc., right? Partnerships, neighbors, blah, blah, blah. People that you've just had a connection with. And things have gotten ruined. That's just kind of life, right? That's an acceptance, that's a lesson in life that you have to learn eventually. But the Honda, that's a clean Honda. Oh! Another rock in my windshield. We're gonna have to replace this summer. I have so many dings. No cracks yet though, knock on wood. Anyway, so imagine your favorite song. You dedicate it to the love of your life, and then you break up, and then that song is crap. And not even that song is crap anymore, you can't listen to it anymore. It's just completely ruined. That's what happened to me, only the song for me was the entirety of the United States of America. Because in reality, we were broken up, but I was still not allowed down here. And I still had that in my mind of what I went through at the border, which not a lot of people have gone through, but the people that have gone through it know that it sucks. It absolutely sucks. And it did. And even me going back to Canada right now, I'm scared. I haven't even done anything, but I'm scared that just some stupid little thing is going to happen to where I'm going to get denied again, then I'm going to go back to the US, and then they're going to deny me again, and it's just going to, you know, recycle itself. And if it does, at least I'm able to say that it's not because of him. And lots of people will say, oh, it wasn't because of him in the first place. You know, your actions have consequences, blah, 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 blah. If I wasn't dating him, none of that would have happened. None of it. And so, in a way, yeah, I am part of it, of course. But the foremost reason was because he was in my life. And to have something taken away from you because you fell in love, I mean, I don't think that's fair. You can't help who you fall in love with. And what are people supposed to do? Just go, you know what? I'm gonna completely neglect my feelings because I'm scared now of the government. Because I've posted online, I've said in videos, I won't date an American again. And I'm sorry, some of you are really flippin' hot. And some of you are nice, and some of you are kind. And there are places in the States where, yeah, I wouldn't mind living. But because of what I went through, I won't do it again. And I guess that considers me a little bit defeated from the government, and people might say, oh, don't give up, blah, blah, blah. No, I do, because it's not worth it at the end of the day. I mean, I do believe that love is one of the most magnificent things that humans can feel, but to weed what is actually love and what can end up or land me in that situation again, to me it's not. Love isn't worth it. I'll find someone else somewhere else, you know? As bad as that sounds. But it's nice to kind of be leaving on my terms now. And if I get across the Canadian border smoothly, that'll be kind of the finale of that chapter in my life is completely done. And I'll be ecstatic for it. Just that there's not that kind of weight on me and not that mental fog. And of course, every time, because I do want to come back next winter, and next winter until I go to Italy. But every time I cross, there will be that kind of scaredness, fear in me. But it won't be as much as it's been. And this trip, as much as I didn't do anything really, I just basically sat on my arse all day and played with the dog and cat and enjoyed the weather. It was almost like this trip was more detoxifying for me rather than willy-nilly travel everywhere and see a bunch of things and eat a bunch of different things and yada yada. I mean, I kind of just went back to finish my original trip, to finish the first trip that I did when I came down here without the outside influences of boys. And I'm glad I got the opportunity. And not all border agents, by the way, are like the ones from the Canadian side that I dealt with, the first guy with the COVID crap. Because now, it doesn't even matter, even if I was positive. What's the difference? I'm isolated in my van constantly. You know, like, I don't know. Now when I think back to COVID, I completely, I don't want to put too much on YouTube, but I got the 2 shots. That's all I'm getting because I was forced to get them. A lot of people were. That's all I'll say. So, not all border agents are like the first one, the COVID one, the Canadian one. Big guy, burly guy, I remember him. And then the bald-headed dude from the US side, when I got pulled back the first time, he played nice. He pretended to play nice, gave me advice on the K1, you know, all that jazz. The people that give you advice just to when you start doing it, they kind of backstab you. That's exactly what he did. Because he was the original one that wrote on my profile, like, don't let her cross, she has a boyfriend, basically. And they're discussing immigration. He told me about the visas that I had to get, if I wanted to get them. So there's that. And then the little spiky-haired short dude, which he haunts me. No, he doesn't, but I mean, when he looks like that, I don't really have anything else to say about him. Life already did him dirty. I'm so sorry. I don't care if that's rude. I don't care if that's rude, but he was one of the worst men that I've dealt with in my life. Just how degrading. And like, I remember when he asked me why I was dating an American and why I was living in a van. He said, well, he did not fully quoted, but on the basis of why are you living in a van? What did you win the effing lottery? So because I am relatively homeless and can't afford rent or a house in my country, what did I win the effing lottery? because I have to go down to the States or freeze probably to death in Canada because I don't have heat, and I could just add a heater, you're right, but I mean, my van, I didn't really have room for a heater, and my dog and my cat, I don't really trust like the use of diesel and propane and stuff. Like, I don't use all of that. All of that, I have electricity, I have batteries, I don't have propane for really anything aside from a little single burner cook stove, which is nothing. But yeah, he asked me, what did you win the effing lottery? And he said the actual word, by the way. I have to censor it. But just to hear that, to have to leave my parents' house because of an abusive situation, and I won the effing lottery. Totally right. Hit the nail on the head, little short guy. But anyway, the border agents that dealt with me in November, this November, my GoPro keeps shutting off. So I'm gonna end the video. And then start a new one. And I'm gonna look the exact same because it's gonna be on the same day. But it'll be the video of kind of me driving home, and I think I'm gonna stop at the Grand Canyon just to see it, just in case I'm not let across again next year. But I'm grateful for being let across this year, and to kind of have the mental clarity to redo everything and do everything the way I wanted it done in the first place, without, like I said, outside influences kind of changing my life for me without me wanting them to. So yeah, but if you lasted this long, honestly, congratulations. Go check out my other videos if you were able to sit through me talking, because most people can't even sit through the intros of my other videos. But I don't think I'm gonna stop doing that, because a lot of my life is me complaining. And I mean, each video I have to tell you guys how I'm doing. They can't all be exciting. Sorry. It's not my life. That's not my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is my life. Raw, uncut. I guess that ends it. That's a pretty good ending, because that's exactly what I'm trying to get across. But yeah, I'll see you guys, I don't know when. It's a pretty boring drive at the moment. Just still kind of in the desert, but within the next 2 hours I'll be somewhere I've never been, so that's pretty cool. And more stickers on the van, yay, so that'll be fun. But toodles. No, I gotta finish how I always finish. Bye.